Roar, the NBA play-in tournament with Drew Ebanks, Captain Canada of OnPointBasketball.com and SportsFluent. Anthony K here. By the way, Raptors, you can see on the scroll here, great job by the producer. The Raptors losing 109-105, but Anthony, this loss has to go to Drew Ebanks. He's Captain Canada. He blows it again. Fred Van playing great the whole game. They get outscored in the fourth quarter, 37-24. That's why they're the ninth place team. You're playing at home against the Chicago Bulls. You have dominated the Chicago Bulls virtually till maybe the 6-minute mark of the fourth quarter. And then you lay an egg because Kyle Lowry called Fred VanVleet and said, I want to play against my best friend. I want to play against DeMar DeRozan. So it's now DeMar versus Kyle. The winner plays Milwaukee. The winner loses in 4 games. Drew Ebanks, give me your expert opinion because I told you, are you going down there to Jurassic Park and all that? You're almost as old as Jurassic Park, okay? Like 75 years old. But go ahead, 750,000 years old, all right? But go ahead, Drew.
Add a zero.
All right, 7 million. That's what I pay you, Anthony. Come on.
Well, unfortunately, guys, we've seen this scenario with the Toronto Raptors several times over the years, and you're up 20 and you stop doing the things that get you to that lead. Pascal Siakam, great first half. You know, you got to take advantage of your mismatches.
Hold on. Drew, why you sound half dead? It's like you're crying because you're expecting the Raptors to win the NBA title, the Larry O'B tonight. Come on, show some energy. Even Anthony, show some energy.
They lost the game.
Throw some euros on here. Come on.
They lost the game they should won. Well, there's no happiness right here if you're a Toronto Raptors fan.
Are you a biased journalist? Do you show, Toronto, Homer. You're a Homer. By the way,
no, I'm not a homer. I call it like it is. You know that.
Speak about homers. When are you going to cover Anthony's team?
Can we talk about the Raptors?
You finish on the Raptors first.
All right,
concentrate on the Raptors.
Losers.
Okay.
Losers.
You go away from what you're doing. Second half, I don't know what was going on defensively with this team. I mean, you got Zach LaVine basically playing like Jordan out there, going downhill. The Raptors defensively did not play up to speed tonight. Instead of playing off of guys like him, letting him take you from outside, they basically fed right into what he wanted to do, which is get to the 10. And then you had secondary guys like Caruso doing things that they shouldn't have been doing out there. When ultimately you look at this game, though, to me, besides all the other negatives, and I'm going to give Anthony a chance to come in and break it down, you cannot go 18 or 36 from the free throws. Pascal Siakam, we know he's not a number 1 guy. We know he might not even be a number 2 guy on a big-time team. But when you get to the line with a chance to tie the game with 3 free throws, and you're down 3, at minimum, you must make 2 of those 3 free throws. At minimum, you must make 2. So that way you're down 1. You miss 2 out of 3. That is unacceptable. That's unacceptable at a prep NCAA level. That's for a star player of the team. And never mind, he really should be able to go up there and knock down all 3, make it a tie game with about 10 seconds left. And they can hold them for maybe a bad shot and take it to overtime. But you look at a team going 18. Hold on a second.
No, finish.
18 or 36 from the free throw line. That is ultimately right there what did them in. They froze. I'm not sure what happened, but you can't go 50% as a team trying to make it to the next game in the play-in tournament.
I'm first. Let me take some of the blame on me. The Raptors have never lost a game that I attended in person.
You see, you should have been going to that game.
Let's tell everybody he was going to go to the game today.
I was, and that's why I was gonna. Like, I mean, even the year they beat the Bulls at 72-10. I was there. There was one of that 10 losses. Like literally as far back as I can remember, they've never lost a game that I was in attendance. I was supposed to be at the game tonight. Certain things happened. I couldn't end up going. So I'll take my portion of the blame. The next part of the blame must go to the Toronto Raptors, their organization, every single security guard, usher, team member, official at that game, because if there was any other person screaming like DeMar DeRozan's daughter, they would have been thrown out. they would have been thrown out of the game. And the fact that it was DeMar DeRozan's daughter, they let it slide. And that's no excuse for a professional athlete to miss free throws. But if it was anybody else in the world, they're getting thrown out, which means, no offense, sorry, little DeMar, you need to be thrown out too. Period. End of discussion. You can at me all you want. That's not what cost them the game, but that's unacceptable for a franchise to let a terror scream like that every time they're shooting free throws. I'm sorry. I couldn't even watch the game. My ears were bleeding. It ruined the entire game for a lot of people. And I was talking to some people who had the seats that were close to there that I couldn't use. And they were texting me like, what is this? And I was like, it's DeMar's daughter. And they're like, oh my God, get her to, you know what? Like they weren't happy. Like they paid money for seats and they were complaining. But aside from that,
regardless, though, you got to make your free
regardless of that, you got to play through it. You can't shoot free throws like that. You can't blow a 19-point lead in a game at home that is your season. There's no excuse for shooting free throws that poorly, for going away from, like you said, from what was working, for letting a team that you're better than, they're better than the Bulls, letting them get back into that game and then at the end to win. And yeah, if they would have won, we would have put a lot of the praise on Fred VanVleet and Pascal Siakam for playing, great, hitting big shots, doing that kind of stuff. They lost. And they lost in part because Pascal Siakam didn't do his job at the end. So you got to give him that blame too.
I would add, I mean, I don't know. It's just so frustrating because when I see other teams in these scenarios, they know what to do. There was a time in the third, I believe in the third quarter, the Raptors were up 16, 18, and they're rushing. They're going down. They're trying to
slow it down
within 5 seconds. I mean, when you're up 19-20, you got to slow the game down. That team has to work, move the ball, tire them out, and then pick your spots to attack. In that second half, I saw no attacking. I saw the typical 1-on-4 offense. Fred VanVleet at the top of the key, trying to throw up some like crazy shots over a big man, not being able to get to the hoop, and everybody else standing around. Scotty Barnes not getting involved in that second half. OG Anunoby, what's he doing out there? I mean, if that's the way you think that's going to be successful basketball in the playoffs, I have something to tell you. That's not the way to get it done. Ball movement, attack, get them in foul trouble, and get to the basket. And I hear what you're saying about DeMar's daughter. That's no excuse. You're pro.
I said it's no excuse, but it was still, like I said, people paid a ton of money.
Right, hold on, I got 3 points to say. I let you guys have the talk.
You go. Hold on, I'm not done yet. You go to the free throw line and you make your free throws. And again, Pascal cannot miss 2 out of 3.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And I'll just say this last point before you go, Joe. The basketball people will look at this and say Fred played a great game. 26, 12, and 8. Not when it mattered. Not when it mattered.
All right, 3 points, and especially a couple weeks ago, LeBron throwing out a heckler courtside and everything like that. It doesn't matter if it's DeMar DeRozan's daughter. Doesn't matter if it's 8 years old or 88 years old. You are there. You hear Herbie Kuhn say it. Do not throw. Do not be violent. Do not say. Everybody knows. Everybody knows when it's free throws. What do they tell? Shh. All right, that's number one. I'm not blaming her, but he's right. Anthony, for once, made a perfect point, even though Chicago's listening, the Chicago Bear fans are listening, okay? But honestly, she should have been escorted, maybe not thrown out of the game, escorted to that private
honestly, I think if they would have told her mom, hey, she can't do that, I think she would have stopped. But they didn't do that. I don't think they said anything.
They didn't do that.
Yeah.
They didn't do that. Secondly, okay, and here's an even bigger point, okay? We talked about this for weeks. Pascal Siakam. What do I always say? You need a superstar, a star, and an up-and-comer to do something good in the playoffs. This proves he's okay, but he's not superstar. He's not even maybe a star. When the game's on the line.
No. He is no, let's not completely kill. Siakam is a 2B. Siakam is a
Yeah, but
2B.
he's not a
He's
superstar or a star.
he's an
Drew
all
is
NBA
not a
player.
star.
He's an all NBA player. So let's not say he's not a star. He is a star, but
I would
he's a
give him a star status, but
he's
not
a 2B, meaning what? And let me define what 2B means to me. It means you have a superstar, and then you have one or two stars. He's that 2B, so he's not even the better of the secondary stars. He's
All right, and even more
right.
important, and I'm going to say this, nobody has the balls to say this, not on this panel, not on anybody in Toronto media or whatever. And I'm going to go, and I have inside information. This team has given up, and they quit on Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse, we talked about this how many times, Drew? We talked about this almost every show. When is somebody going to hold them accountable? 2 weeks, 2 weeks before the season is over. Oh, mysteriously, and Anthony, you know this, he would like to take another job. He's coaching a team to get into the playoffs. Playoffs. Oh, and what job does he want to take? The Houston Rockets. All right. And how apropos can this be? Because I heard from a lot of my friends here, a lot of sources and all that. He's looking at Dallas. Nick Nurse is gone as the coach. I got
yeah,
used
but we've
to
been
it.
saying that since halfway through the season that Nick Nurse has
Yes,
his
more,
time has
but,
run out.
but here's more news here. Here's more news. All right. Nick Nurse said, a week and a half ago he wants to go to Houston or whatever.
No,
He's
he
looking
didn't say.
at
No,
Dallas.
he said he wanted to take some time to think about his future.
Yeah, but
Look,
if
don't
you're
put
the
words
coach,
in his
you don't
mouth.
need
Say what he
time.
said. We
You're
know
a
what he
coach.
meant, but yeah.
You're a coach. Now, hold on. Now, listen, I heard a little whisper even today when I spoke to a couple sources. How apropos would be this? Dwayne Casey moves upstairs in Detroit, and
Hires
they
Nick
need a coach.
Nurse. No.
And I'm just hearing that's not going to happen, but that's what I heard also. But listen, this team has given up on Nick Nurse for I don't know how long. Drew, you're Captain Canada. Do you agree?
Well, I mean, it seems that they're not playing for him. It seems, as we mentioned before, there's not a lot of confidence amongst the rest of the roster. The cohesion, there's no the chemistry just doesn't seem like it was in the past. And then when you look at the adjustments, I mean, you have to understand that a guy like Zach LaVine is that type of player. So when he starts to cook, what adjustments are you making? Are you double teaming to get it out of his hands? If I'm playing, I want somebody else, a lesser known player, to beat me. I'm not going to let Zach LaVine beat me. I'm not going to let DeMar DeRozan beat me. I'm going to put it in the hands of other players to let them see if they can do it.
All
And
right,
that's
hold
the
on.
way you have to
I
coach.
gotta say something. Anthony, can you look at the stats? Because I think 5 Raptor players played over 40 minutes today. Garen Trent, MIA. All right, like when you have a rotation, we talked about this a million times. What's his rotation? 5 guys, 6 guys. How many do you have the stats there, Anthony?
I do actually. The starters played 42 minutes. 3 of them: Fred VanVleet, Siakam, and OG.
Yep.
Barnes played 40. Pirtle played 37, and then the only player off the bench to play double-digit minutes was Trent with 17. Barton played 2. Achua played 9. Boucher played 7.
Yeah.
Which is
It's
interesting
hard to
because
get
when they're
rhythm.
up 19, sorry to cut you off, Drew. I was just going to say, because when they're normally up 19, that's the time when you bring in like Boucher and those guys, because they bring back that energy where the starters typically would start to slack off, which it happens when you're up 20. So you bring in the Bouchers of the world who bring you that energy, push that lead up to 25, 27, but they didn't do that. They didn't do that, which was very, but that's very Nick Nurse. That shouldn't surprise us. That's what he does. Like two of the Raptors players, I think Fred VanVleet and Pascal, are top 5 in minutes played in the NBA this season. So that's what he does. It's incorrect. You know who he reminds me of? Tibbs.
Yeah,
very
runs
much
down
reminds
the
me of
players.
Tibbs.
Runs
down
the
players. Like, you love the fact that he pushes defense and earn your minutes through defensive effort, but that's going to kill your guys down the stretch, and I think it showed today.
I think again, it's about adjustments, though. What adjustments are you going to make? The other team made adjustments. All of a sudden, Zach LaVine is going to the hoop. There's no obstruction to the hoop for Zach LaVine. So he's feasting. And then DeMar slides in sneakily and starts to pound it. And that dunk that he threw down was a monster dunk. And that sent a signal that they were coming back. Now, the Raptors got punched in the face there. What were they going to do to punch back? They did not punch back at all. And again, when you talked about bringing on the bench, I love that that thing that you just said, Anthony. But also, you've got to make your free throws, because the way you push that lead to 25 to 30 and you put the game out of reach is by hitting your free throws. And I'm still baffled at this team going 50% from the line in a playoff game at home. And again, I don't know that scream. I don't know the extent of the screaming, but you got to know you're going into hostile. You'll go into hostile environments, and you're going to have 20,000 people screaming. To me, to put it on one young girl, it just doesn't make sense to me. You got to hit your free throws. Bottom line. You cannot
yes,
miss your free throws.
Even on the road, though, they're booing and chanting. But if someone screams like bloody murder like that just as you're about to shoot, even road teams don't allow that to happen. I'm telling you, it was.
Well, they're partial to DeMar and his family.
I don't care.
Maybe something could have been said. I just don't think that should be a factor. Okay, maybe you miss 5 based on that, but to miss 18 free throws.
All right, here. Let's we got 5 minutes left, 5-10 minutes left. So let me talk about this, okay? You guys, and we have a question from Anthony's guy, Billy the Greek. All right, He wants to know this, okay? How, and I'm gonna say Nick Nurse is gone. How would you remember the Nick Nurse era? He brought us the NBA championship. Okay, what else? What would Anthony? You start us off. How would you remember Nick Nurse era?
You'll remember Nick Nurse era for bringing a championship. That's how you remember it. It was successful. He came in and did what he was supposed to do. The issue is when you look at the Nick Nurse era, he came in first year, wins the championship. But I'm going to cut him some slack. He kept the team competitive when they lose Kawhi Leonard, Danny Green, Marcus Gasol gets old, Serge Ibaka is gone. They lose like all those guys that were part of that, the core. Kyle Lowry gets old, right? All those guys move on. Then they have to go through COVID. Then they got to play an entire season on the road when they call Tampa home. So I think as much as it's ending the way that, in a downturn where you're not happy, I think it's still a successful tenure. He did a lot to help the franchise. He did a lot to help the team. He helped Canadian basketball. So no, I think it's a success. I'm not going to focus on this season where he lost the team. I'm going to focus on the positives.
All right, Drew, before you answer here, we talked about this. If he does get fired, what are you going to do with Team Canada basketball? Because he's the coach of Team Canada and all that. You're Captain Canada. Start off with that, maybe.
It's hard to say. I mean, I can't see him coaching a national team if he's not the coach of the Raptors. I don't really see that as feasible. I think they would have to move on. It would just be, a lot of tension, I think, with the basketball fans. And again, I don't know. I think we're throwing him to the fire. We're saying he's out, but we don't know that yet. My main thing again is not developing the confidence in the rest of the roster beyond your starting 5 or 6. That's where I see as deficient on that side of things. And I think at times, again, love Freddie, love his story, but at times, you need a point guard that's going to make things easier for the team on offense. You need a point guard that's going to get guys the rock in their positions they can succeed. But when you're in this one-on-one ISO basketball, it is not conducive to winning basketball on a whole. And I think that's where I would say, again, is my criticism of him. He did win the title. Obviously, I think you look at Dwayne Casey and the foundation was laid by Dwayne Casey, and then they luck out by getting Kawhi Leonard. If there's no Kawhi Leonard, Casey, he may not even be here at this point, right?
There's two lucky things, right? LeBron leaves to the West, and they get Kawhi, Let's
Yeah, and the
let's
bounce.
be
I mean, if the
honest.
bounce
You
doesn't
always have
happen,
to put LeBron with Lakers. There, you're West.
No, let's be honest. Listen, they didn't call it
It's true.
LeBronto.
It's true.
They didn't call it LeBronto for nothing. He was the big bad wolf in the East. He leaves, and now you get Kawhi Leonard. Like,
And you can't win. Like, to sum it up, okay.
I feel like Dwayne Casey. Dwayne Casey was like the Mark Jackson. Nick Nurse was
right,
the Steve
right,
Kerr.
the
The problem is
foundation.
we expected the Steve Kerr, but they didn't have the team to do that. So
Yeah, you can't put it all on him. I mean,
yeah, I'm not
obviously,
putting it all. That's what I mean. Yeah.
even Masai talked about, not having a big man after Serge went. I felt Serge was actually a pretty big loss for them. Not
Mhm.
saying he's all world, but I think his presence inside was sorely missed. And then obviously picking up Pirtle now was kind of late in the ball game to kind of bring in a serviceable big man. So you can't put it fully on Nurse, but the in-game adjustments, the in-game strategy, I think, was off. You're still out there jacking threes in a close game down the stretch. From the basketball I know, you've got to try to get to the hole, get the other team in foul trouble, slow down the game, right? And continue to lead the game. But when you played right into the hands of the Bulls and Zach LaVine trying to go tit for tat, going fast, this is what happens. You lose a ball game that you should win easily.
All right, so let's quickly, as we close it out, we know some of the matches, actually almost all the matchups in the first round of the NBA playoffs, but let's give your predictions here. Let's start off Saturday, 1 o'clock, Brooklyn, Philadelphia. Anthony, how many games is Philadelphia going to take to defeat Brooklyn?
I think Brooklyn gets one, so I'll go 5.
Yeah, and Drew?
Same thing. I think they get one. They'll take that one 4-1. Just too powerful. I think if Embiid does what he has to do and dominates, and Harden plays up to par, this is going to be a very, very interesting playoff for James Harden because he's flopped in several playoffs.
Yeah.
And is this the playoffs where he's finally going to be able to step up, play like he did in the regular season? And really, he's the key for them. It's not Embiid. You know what Embiid's going to bring you, but is he the key? Is Harden going to be the guy that's going to step up and be that second superstar?
I agree. The 76ers in 5. And I'm telling you right now, 76ers are my pick to go to the NBA Finals. But Saturday, 3:30, Atlanta, who won the play-in game, beating Miami, plays Boston. Let's start off with Drew in this one.
I mean, Boston's just going to be too tough. Atlanta, they're feeling good. Obviously, they got Trae Young back. That one could be at the most a 6-gamer, but I think that one it's probably going to be a 5-gamer as well.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm with you. I think Boston. I think Trae Young and Murray. Now, I'll say this: a lot will depend on Robert Williams' health. So he's often injured. If he is healthy, this is a 5-game series. If he misses a game or two, we saw what John Collins and company can do inside, like what they did to Miami. Then I think it goes. I still think it's 6 games though. They get an extra one. That's about it. Yeah.
All right, I'll start off with Anthony this one. And this is really probably best matchup in the East. The Knicks, Cleveland Cavaliers, 6 p.m. on Saturday, game 1. Anthony, go ahead.
I am really high on the Cavs. I think the Cavs will give every team they play, be it whoever it is, the Bucks, the Celtics, the 76ers, all that they're looking for in a series. So I'm going to go with the Cavs in pretty surprisingly easy one against the Knicks. 5, I don't want to even say 6. I'll say 6 just to give the Knicks some credit. Julius Randle hasn't proven to be a good playoff performer, and I just think the Cavs. I think we're going to see even Donovan Mitchell take his game up another level this playoffs. I think he had a breakout a couple of years ago in the playoffs. I think he breaks out of that ceiling this year.
Hold on, Spike Lee's on the phone for me.
Yes, what's up, Spike?
He wants to say, who's this guy, Anthony K? All right, Drew.
He's the one that made you more fluent, Spike.
Yeah. Drew, put this guy to shame. Do you go with Cleveland or do you go with the Knicks?
I'm totally opposite there. I think this is the Knicks' year.
Drew, that's why you're Captain Canada.
I think the Knicks have something to prove. I mean, everybody wants the Knicks to do something, just like the Lakers. Everybody wants the Lakers to do well, just for the NBA's sake. I think the Knicks, this is their chance to really step up and show that what they did down the stretch as one of the top teams down the stretch in the NBA, finishing 12 games over 500. I'm going to go Knicks in 7 games in this series.
I
Going out on a
agree.
limb.
I agree. I think actually, Anthony, next year is Cleveland's year. Knicks went there.
But I like Cleveland. Don't get it
No,
twisted.
Hey,
I
listen,
love
listen.
that
You guys
Cleveland
don't
team.
know.
That's
You guys don't know about superstition. Just so you know, last year I said the Celtics were a year away. They went to the final. This year I said the Cavs are a year away. Just keep that in mind.
Wow.
And this guy has superstition. He hasn't changed his underwear since the Chicago Bears won the Super Bowl in 1985.
Now you
Put
know
it
I
that
don't
way.
wear any, so that's a lie.
All right, so
That
then
is way too
there's
much
one matchup.
information.
There's one matchup in the East. Chicago. Let's go with Chicago, Miami. Drew, let's start off with you. It's DeMar, Kyle. Who goes to play Milwaukee?
I'm going with the Heat. I think Chicago. This was their NBA championship, beating the Raptors. They don't got enough for that matchup. I think the Heat. They lost the game. Obviously, they wanted to go and get that quick game in. But I'm going with the Heat. They're going to win that one. I think double digits against the Bulls.
All right, so it's going to be the Heat and Bucks. Bucks in 5.
That's interesting. That's an interesting matchup. The Heat, if they play up to capabilities, that could be a longer series. I think the Bucks in 6 against the Heat. I think the Heat are a team that rises again to competition, kind of like how the Raptors have been over the last few years. They rise to a higher level when they face better competition. So I would give Milwaukee that one in 6.
Anthony?
I'm with you on Miami. Listen, they were better than Atlanta. They're better than Chicago. So I said if they lose to Atlanta, it's a huge upset, and it was. I don't think they have a second one. Let's get Patrick Beverley out of the playoffs for saying Toronto's effing trash. Let's just knock him out for that reason alone. But then I got the Bucks in 6 as well. I don't see it going 7. It could though. Miami plays Milwaukee really, really tough.
Yeah.
But I'm going to need to see a lot more out of Bam, who is slowly fading out of my he's a really good player category into he's
What's
a nice
going
player.
on with him? The trajectory was crazy.
He really needs to step up against the Bucks if they expect to make it a long series.
Listen, both of you guys are wrong. A little girl was screaming to me and said the Bulls are going to beat Miami. She was screaming to me, so I'm going to go with her because I can't stand that annoying scream, all right? That's right. See? There it goes. All right, let's go to the 2 matchups that we know about in the West. Anthony, you'll start us off with your team, the Lakers. LeBron wants to show something. Go ahead. And I know already who's he going to pick, all right? Go ahead.
It's gonna be a sweep. I'm gonna go with the Lakers in 6.
Wow.
It's not a sweep, by the way. I don't know what you do in Greece.
No, I changed my mind. I was gonna say 4, but I was being realistic. No, Lakers in 6. Lakers in 6.
All right, Drew.
No way. Memphis Grizzlies, it's their time, and against the Lakers, who basically barely got through the Minnesota Timberwolves that were missing
Overtime.
Drew,
and their wing.
With the exception of LeBron and AD, the rest of the starters on the Lakers went 5 of 24. They shot under 21%. The bench as a whole went 11 of 28. That's under 40%. That is not going to happen for an entire series. So
threw that game away.
They still won that game.
Win that game.
Let me ask you this: who is the number 1 rated defense since the trade deadline? Oh, that'd be the Los Angeles Lakers.
Yeah, that's fine.
And their defense was part of the reason that Minnie threw that game. So I think when you're going up against a young team that's missing Steven Adams, that is very easily pushed off their mental, that's where the Lakers are going to take the series. But it's going to be long. It's like 6. It may be 7.
You know what?
My homer pick makes it 6, but realistically, it might be 7.
And you know what? When I really think of it, I also actually kind of forgot that Brandon Clark isn't playing.
And yes.
So that's a huge piece, not only on the offense.
See, now he's more fluent,
but on defense. And so with Adams and him gone, yes, I would say it's going to be tough for Memphis to go through them again. is a factor in this. And I'll have to give the Lakers it in 6 games, possibly 7.
This guy,
I've had to change of heart because our
a
boy
change of heart.
Brandon is not there, and Adams as well. It's going to be tough.
More fluent.
And now this segment was brought to you by Rogaine. Show your hair. You're growing your hair out. Come on.
It looks
Look at that
good.
beautiful.
Right.
Hey, good for you. It looks good.
Hair. 2 months. Look at this hair.
Two more matchups: the Clippers and the Suns. I'll start off with the hair boy himself.
Oh man, that's going to be a series. I don't know what's the status of Paul George right now, if he's back, but Kawhi Leonard has been playing like a beast lately. But the Suns, I mean, this is it. To me, this is do or die for the Suns. They have to make the NBA Finals. Chris Paul's not getting any younger. Are they going to have another chance? Durant's here. He's fresh now. I think it's going to be the Suns that are going to eat this one out. I'd say 6, possibly 7 games, but I'm picking the Suns in that one.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm with you. Listen, I'm a Laker fan, so I never pick the Clippers anyways. But I think with Paul George being out, Kevin Durant, Booker, Paul, Ayton, they're missing defense. They traded away a lot of their defense to get KD. But the Clippers have never shown me that they're the type of team that can get it done. So I think it'll close. I think it goes 7. But I'm going with the Suns.
All right, let's final series that we know about. Golden State at Sacramento. This is best series in the West. Ooh. Big ups to Sacramento this year. All right, Drew, give them a big up. Come on, give them a big up.
Sacktown, yeah. Mike Brown went in and did his thing. Man, this is going to be some kind of series. I think, again, we mentioned everybody's got to go through Golden State. Golden State's the squad to beat. I can't see them losing. This one's going to go 6 games. Golden State takes it.
Anthony, are you more fluent or
I know that you're a wrestling fan, right, Joe?
I'm a wrestling fan?
Yeah, you're a wrestling fan, right? Yeah. So I know you always say this is Taco Bell, but this is also like the Undertaker's, like that's the bell tolling on the Sacramento Kings. Great season. It's unfortunate that they have to play the Warriors in the first round because a lot of other matchups I think they would have won. But after 17-year drought making it to the playoffs, they should be very happy with the season they had. De'Aaron Fox has proven to be the most clutch player in the NBA, I believe, by clutch rating. But a legit starter, Domantas Sabonis, fantastic all-star players, both of them. Bright future for the Kings if they can
very
put it together and tweak it in the offseason. Yes, Warriors at 6.
All right. So here is one of my final questions. The season is over now. All right, Drew Ebanks, you don't get an MVP vote. I got because I'm the president of Province of Canada, the mayor-elect of North America, soon to run for the mayor of Toronto. Anthony Kay is going to be my running mate here. We're going to go all over Greektown, and Billy's going to be there and everything like that. Who is your MVP, Drew Ebanks? Go ahead.
Obviously, the debate is the debate. I don't think if you give Joker the MVP, you're basically saying he's one of the greatest of all time. And I think Joel Embiid actually had a better finish to the season. They were pretty close, as it were. I would go with Joel Embiid. I think you got to give him one. He probably could have got it last year as well. That was close race. This year, the way they finished, I think, was a bit better than Joker. And it was going to be controversial because a lot of people were thinking, hey, he deserves 3 in a row. I don't think he's at that level to get 3 in a row. I think it's Joel Embiid's to lose.
All right. Here is Anthony Kay, the Greek. Go ahead.
I'm going to give you 2 answers. And the reason I'm going to give you 2 answers is I'll tell you where my vote will go. And I'll tell you where I think the NBA voters will go. So my vote for MVP and most deserving of this award is Giannis Antetokounmpo. He has put it up just as good, if not better numbers than both Jokic and Joel Embiid on the offensive end. And he is significantly better than both of them on the defensive end. And everyone seems to forget that we play 2 damn sides of the ball, like significantly better than both of them. I mean, light years ahead of Jokic and significantly better than Joel Embiid. And he's got the number 1 team. And he's not
sexy. He's not the sexy pick.
I find him very sexy. And his team was without its second best player as an MVP pick. His team was without their second best player, Chris Middleton, for a long stretch. They were without Drew Holiday for stretches. They were without what should be the sixth man of the year, because before he got hurt, Bobby Portis was the only sixth man candidate averaging a double-double. Like, they were without him for. So he's got the number one team. He's the best offensive player, the best defensive player, and the best player in the NBA. I know the MVP isn't for the best player. I get that, but that's where my vote would be because of all of those things I just said. That being said, Joel Embiid has finished second in MVP voting 2 years in a row. And the one thing I know about the MVP and the NBA more than anything else, more than stats, more than wins, more than anything, this is why a sixth seed in Jokic and a sixth seed in Russell Westbrook won MVPs. That's because it's about narrative. And the narrative is he was second 2 years in a row. He's having another great season. He deserves one. We need to give it to him. And there was a whole controversy, right, about who gets it the 3 years in a row, what that means for Jokic's in terms of his all-time status, and people are very aware of that. And so I think well-deserved, Joel Embiid gets the MVP this year.
I agree with you, but you make a point up with the Greek Freak, okay? By that sentiment, shouldn't the Greek Freak get an MVP? Exactly by that sentiment.
He should, but the narrative is that, well, he's already won two. And that's the problem with the narrative. It's, he's won two. Like they said, Giannis can't win a third one in a row. And now he has a couple of years of drought, right? Well, so give it to him now. But now it's somebody else has been second 2 years in a row, so he deserves it. Let's give him his one.
And Anthony, did you hear Drew say Greeks are not sexy? Did he say?
No, he's never said that at all. Never.
Oh, okay.
I would not say that.
Never. We were just talking earlier today. He's coming over for Greek food, so we know that he likes the food too. So we're good.
Wait a minute. You're inviting Drew, who's never come over to your basketball, but you don't invite the president of provinces of Canada. What's this, man?
You have Greek cooking at home. He doesn't have any.
Look how he eats. Look at that slobber knocker. All right, Drew Ebanks, go ahead. Talk about Canadian basketball as we close it out.
Canadian basketball. Well, the great thing about this year, guys, the NBA, 26 Canadians touched the floor for Canada. It's growing. We talk about it a lot. I see a lot more happening. WNBA, Letitia Amihere, drafted number 8 almost out of nowhere. She played off the bench for her career with the Freshies on South Carolina. Dawn Staley told her, don't worry. You're going to be all right. I got you. And look at that. A surprise 8th pick in the WNBA draft, but not a surprise to us. She can do everything. I think Letitia's going to show more in the WNBA than she was able to show in college with that stacked Freshies roster of South Carolina. So big up to her. Obviously, she joins the other Canadians in the league. There are going to be a lot more. Leah Edwards is going to be there as well one day, and hopefully Cheyenne Day Wilson formerly of Duke. She's actually gone into the transfer portal as well. With a lot of players have done that. We should do a little show or segment on that aspect of college basketball, guys, the transfer portal and how it is affecting teams as we speak and affecting a lot of our Canadian players. So just keep it up. Great to see what the WNBA did. I feel the draft was very well done. Lot of talent in the WNBA, and also big up to the ladies. What was the viewership in the championship game? 9.9 million or 9.8 million.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
9.8 million.
You give the ladies a platform and you show, and I'll be honest, guys, they're more compelling and more compelling characters in women's college basketball than there are in men's college basketball right now. And I can't tell when you could ever say that before. And the women deserve the money. They deserve the sponsorship. And even players are saying, hey, I'd rather stay in college and get my NIL money instead of going to NBA where I'll make less playing. So that's an interesting aspect of it as well.
Okay, tell everybody how they could get a hold of On Point Basketball, and tell them when you're going to give Anthony K some shoes for his shoe drive June 17th.
Oh, I've got them. I'm working on them, piling up some shoes, and I got some other little goodies as well that I'll bring up to Anthony and to give away to the youngsters over there. Looking forward to that. You know, it's always about giving back to the youth. A little while back, I actually did a little shoe drop off for a few boxes of shoes up in the Rexdale area, and the kids were so happy. And that's why in the future you will see an On Point Foundation, that we will be able to get supplies, school supplies, shoes, shorts, anything the kids need in their sizes going forward. So look for that in the near future. You can find me at On Point Basketball on Instagram, as well as Facebook, LinkedIn, Drew Ebanks on Twitter. And don't forget, check onpointbasketball.com. We have the breakdown of all the latest prep and high school basketball, including the recent Platinum Circuit Championships and also the BioSteel All Canadian Games as well. We got in-depth analysis, including top performers, coming up very soon on our site.
Before Anthony chimes in here, we have another playoff game at halftime now. It is New Orleans 63, Oklahoma City 57. That's
SGA. Look at him. We'll talk quickly about what he did this year into the stratosphere as far as he has to be, in my opinion, all NBA. He showed what he can do. He showed what he can do, not only on offense, but on defense as well. We spoke about that. You know, he plays two ways. He's got that old man's game and seems to be able to do anything. I mean, he's torched top defenders, top players in the league all year. It's fantastic to see. And, you know, the future is bright. Another quick tidbit, Aiden Holloway recently played in the Nike Hoop Summit last weekend, guys, and he is now considered a Canadian. His mom is Canadian. That will be a tremendous shot in the arm if we can get him to play for the national team. He's one of the best players in the country, prolific prep. And then shout out Toby Fournier, the girls player from Crestwood Prep, who did her thing in the women's game. Team USA beat the ladies, the international ladies, but Toby had 18 or 19 points, double-digit rebounds. She's the dunker, but she does more than that. Toby Fournier is going to be a superstar one day in the WNBA.
All right, that's Captain Canada, one of the best. Drew Ebanks, On Point Basketball. Check out On Point Basketball. And he's on point, on location. And now I send it to more sport. He gets more sports fluent every week he's on. Anthony K., go ahead.
You inspired me. I feel like I should start the Fluent Foundation. Let me look into that.
No, I think you should. I mean, it's perfect.
I love it.
The logo. Oh my God! I can picture it right now, man.
Foundation in association with On Point.
Put some Poseidon wings underneath the FF.
Yes.
Oh, come on now.
To add the Greek with the foundation, and we do with the kids, and it's nice. I like it. Other than that, check out sports_fluent on IG, Twitter, and TikTok. Also, you can find me at Player's Choice on YouTube. Player's Choice. That's where my shows, football, the Gridiron, which I'm supposed to be on right now. Fluent and Chill on Thursday nights, and then the panel. The panel's every single day now at noon, Monday to Friday.
Shout out your show, man. Shout out that show you had with Shaq as well.
With Shaq, Fluent and Chill. Yeah, go back and look at that interview we did with Shaquille O'Neal. That was a lot of fun. But the panel's on 12 p.m. noon Eastern every single day except Tuesdays when we do the long show from 5 to 8, I want to say, p.m. Eastern.
All right.
Or sportsfluent.com.
And the Raptors season has now concluded. Raptors losing the play-in game to the Chicago Bulls 109-105. We have somebody named Tilly Joe who said Pascal Siakam should get a vote for MVP. Enough from him. It's like, come on. All right.
MVPs don't miss 2 out of 3 free throws down the stretch.
They do not.
All right. So stay tuned for more great programming here on the Fired Up Network. And next week, we got a special announcement regarding the Fired Up Network, where we'll be on point, on location, on everywhere, like City Pulse, all right? Can you get us a thing of City Pulse, Anthony? What? Can you get like Mark Cable everywhere? That's right. All right. Drew Ebanks. And next week, you'll see Drew Ebanks grow his flowing hair, right? Flowing hair. Yeah, like Anthony, from 1 to 10, what do you rate that?
Oh, I that's a solid 9.
2 months, bro. That's
all
only
right.
2 months.
This just proves Anthony doesn't have eyes. All right. Thanks a lot, guys. You've been watching Raptors Roar on the Fired Up Network.